I think it's safe to say that space is very cool. There's a terrifying enormity and mysteriousness to it that's inspired really beautiful works of art. I'm thinking of like Carl Sagan's Pale Blue Dot speech, a number of artwork by Alma Thomas, and I don't know, basically all the music by Sun Ra. Now, I'm not trying to count myself in on that pantheon, but I thought it might be fun to try and take the concept of outer space music and interpret it sort of literally. On their website, NASA have a few recordings from the Mars rover Perseverance taken on Mars that are available to download, and they sound kind of like this. I don't know a ton about the harsh noise genre, so it's possible there's already a ton of good musical merit to those recordings on their own, but I wanted to try and take them and turn them into something that was, a little bit more my speed. So here's what I did. So for tonal instruments, I used a little slice of their recordings of the fluid pump. Now, depending on the effects, which I sort of went wild with, I was able to make either this little blippy arpeggio sound, this kind of portamento-y lead, this breathy pad, and this bass. And something I want to point out is that in each of these, I'm basically using the same part of that sample. What's really changing about it is just the effects. For instance, on the bass, along with things like this compressor, and this one I added because it was called Only the Good Parts, and overdrive, whereas on the pad I've added things like chorus, this kind of fluttery delay. So it really just depended on the sound that I was going for. And something I really want to add, by the way, is I didn't have like this effect chain planned out ahead of time. What I did was I took a sample of the sound and I had in my mind an image of what I wanted it to sound like, and I just kept stacking effects until I got there, which is why my effects might look kind of messy and sloppily thrown together, because they were. For the snares and the hat, I took some of the raw sounds recorded from the Martian atmosphere. For the snare, I isolated this little bit here. I added some overdrive, I EQ'd it, and then I also added compressor, filters, and a little bit of delay and reverb, and I got this. For the hat, I actually copied a lot of these settings from the snare, but in this case, I changed around the reverb, I took out the delay, and I EQ'd and filtered it differently, and you get this. It might be kind of hard to hear. With the reverb, I kept the dry-wet mix turned pretty high so that it would be, I would say, a little less percussive and a little more atmospheric. And lastly is the kick. Now, they had a filtered version of the sound from the Martian atmosphere, and that had these really cool low tones in it. So you could see in this little slice here, let's zoom in. I isolated one of those. I just added some saturation and filter, and what you get is a deep kick. So now that you've seen all that, I'm going to want to let you hear the little tune that I made. Before I do, I want to thank you so much for watching and listening. If you enjoyed this video and you feel so inclined, please consider hitting subscribe and like to help support the channel. And if you want to try playing with these sounds yourself, I put a link in the description where you can find them and download them from NASA's website. Anyway, thanks again, and music.